Let's review what an isosceles and equilateral triangles are. Those are two different types of triangles, and they're both talking about how many sides are congruent. Congruent means same shape, same size. So an isosceles triangle is on the left-hand side here. An isosceles triangle has two sides that are equal. Okay, so here's an example of what this would look like. I've got my two lines, my two sides here are equal, and we know this is true because they have the little tick marks here, and they have the same number of tick marks. So the markings show us that these two sides are the same. Now, what is also true with an isosceles triangle, that the two angles are also the same. So we've got two angles that are the same and two sides are the same, and that's an isosceles triangle. An equilateral triangle means all three sides are equal. I remember that because equal is in the name. So that means all three sides are equal, okay? Which also means all three angles are equal, okay? So in an equilateral triangle, the angles are always 60 degrees because 180 divided by 3 is 60 degrees. And then all the sides are the same. Now the sides can change because triangles can have the same angles, but the sides can be different. So, but whatever it is, it's always going to be the same. Number 1, it says find the missing angle measures. Now, looking at this shape, we have two sides are marked as congruent, which means this is an isosceles triangle. Remember, in an isosceles triangle, it's not just the two sides that are congruent, but also the angles. So if this is 64 degrees, then you know the opposite angle is also 64 degrees. And then if you were looking for this third angle, you could subtract those from 180 and find your third angle. But that's actually not what we need. We need angle N, the measure of angle N, which is right here. We just found 64 degrees. All right, let's look at number 10. It says find the value of each variable. And they gave us two triangles. We have a smaller triangle and we have a larger triangle. And they're both isosceles because they both have two sides that are congruent. We're going to start by looking at the inside triangle first to find the value of x. Okay, we know these two sides are the same, which means that this angle is also congruent to this angle. So let's go ahead and write in a little x there to remind us those are the same value. Now we also know this third angle up here. Okay, this little square in the corner of an angle means that angle is equal to 90 degrees. That is a right angle. Okay, so if I'm talking about an isosceles triangle and I know one of the angles, I can find the other two. So, and I'm going to do that by subtracting from 180. So I'm going to do 180 degrees minus my 90 degrees, and then that's going to give me what these two angles are together. And then I'm going to divide by 2 just to find one of them. Okay, let's go ahead and knock that out. So I'm going to do 180 degrees minus my 90 degrees, and that gives me 90 degrees. Okay, now I know that these two angles together equal 90. Okay, so if I were to add them together, I would get 90. So in order to find the value of just one of those, I'm going to divide by 2. Okay, so that means that my x value is 45 degrees. So I'm going to write that down in my answer, and then I'm also going to write it down inside my triangles just to remind me as I move forward that that little angle is 45 degrees. All right, next we get to find the y value, and the y value is part of this larger triangle. Okay, now looking at the larger triangle, this one's also isosceles, which means this angle is also equal to this angle. And we're going to do the same process we just did with the larger triangle. And we're going to start by subtracting 180 minus 30. And that gives me 150 degrees. All right, and then I'm going to do what I did in the smaller triangle is I'm going to do that 150 divided by 2. And that's going to tell me the value of my two angles down here. Now, y does not equal 75. X plus y equals 75. This whole angle is 75 degrees. So that means that 45 degrees plus my mystery number gives me 75. So I can go ahead and write that out just to kind of imagine what this is going to look like. 45 plus my mystery number equals 75. So then how do I find my missing value? Well, I just subtract 45 from both sides. So if I do 75 minus 45, that's going to give me my value for y. All right, let's look at number 11. In number 11, they are asking us to find the value of x and the value of y. Let's start with the value of x. It's part of this triangle here. Now, we know for sure that it's at least an isosceles triangle because we have these two sides marked. However, they also tell us that this angle equals 60 degrees. And if you remember at the very beginning, I said that a 60-degree angle belongs to an equilateral triangle. So that means all three of these sides are the same, which means all three of these angles are the same. So I'm going to go ahead and write that in. And that means we have found the value of our x, 60 degrees. All right, from there, we can find the value of y using our isosceles or smaller isosceles triangle up top. Okay, we're looking for y. They gave us 52, and we know these two sides are the same, which means these two angles are the same. So if this is 52, so is this one over here. So I'm going to fill in my 52. And then I'm going to use that information to help me find my third angle here. So I'm going to start by subtracting both of these angles from 180 degrees, and that'll give me my y value. So let's add them together. 52 plus 52 is going to give me 104. And then I'm going to do 180, which is the total of all three angles added together. I'm going to subtract 104. And that's going to give me my value of 76 degrees. So that means my third angle up here is 76, which is also the value of y.